I was like, we're doing stuff on my car, and she saw it, because I just did all the plugs, all the coils, and I'm going to the red ignition button, and then I wanted just to use springs. You need a little springs, close that gap a little bit. I know what I'm going to do. I want to figure it out. 20 miles under? Dude, that's, you're good for another 20. You're good for like 15, for sure, for sure. Something in my I just call strut. Told. We run into Tacoma, just clicked over, or no, it's about to click over 170. Doesn't this feel weird? Totally. No headaches. Actually, you know what? The day that I bought that truck, it was like 11 p.m. I was about to go to bed, and it was like raining. I kind of want to go for a cruise. It turns over and doesn't start. It's like in fuel pump the day I bought it. And I had driven it like 3 times. It'll go run through the tires. Right, but the day that I bought it, though, are you kidding me? And then a month later,
yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, cool.
Right.
Okay, everybody, I think we're going to get started. Let's go.
Cool.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for coming. We're really excited about this. It's an event that we wanted to put on for a little while. And just to give you a quick idea of what Closing the Deal is, Carissa and I, we wanted to figure out a way to give you guys a little bit more information regarding digital marketing. So we put together a Facebook page where we put out new content every week. And it's on various topics. So maybe one week we'll be talking about Facebook, we'll talk about LinkedIn, different ways to use video. So that's what we're doing here. And we wanted to bring in Greg because he's been somewhat of a mentor to us for a while and inspired us to actually start Closing the Deal. So he is awesome. He knows so much, and we just really wanted to bring him in for you guys because he inspires the heck out of us.
Yeah, we're not kidding when we want to just kind of introduce this man right here. He is a national speaker, like a digital guru. He is regional sales manager. Am I saying that right? First year title?
Yeah.
I think I'm saying that right. But seriously, we were so we came out of our class with him ready to take on the world. We were pumped. We were hyped. We were take on marketing for days. So we wanted to give you guys this resource, get you guys pumped. Let's move Albuquerque forward, guys. Let's get on this. Let's step up our marketing and move forward. So with that, Greg, you want to take it away?
All right. Yeah. No, that's a great intro, and thanks everybody. That's tough to live up to. So hopefully I bring it for everybody today. I just want to thank everybody who's in attendance, taking the time to do this. You could be in a lot of different places, working on your business in so many different angles. So I understand and appreciate that. Big thanks to Carissa and Christina for allowing me to get in front of you guys and just share a little bit of knowledge, from my travels and things along these lines of doing this. So I do want to jump in to the presentation as soon as possible because it is a lot of information that we're going to be going over in this next hour. I did condense it down quite a bit just to make sure that I was getting the best information to everybody here. So everybody see that screen? Did it transfer over? Just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So just a little bit about me. I am not a know-it-all. A lot of people call me a guru. I think that's a very strong term to say. I will let everybody know that I've been eating, sleeping, and breathing marketing and advertisement technology for 14 and a half years. This is not my first rodeo. I do travel the United States. I speak on the largest stages, strictly for real estate professionals for almost 10 years now, that 14 and a half. Really understanding their backgrounds, their whys, their stories, what really drives the consumer on the buyer or seller side. Different markets throughout all over the United States as well, large major metropolitan areas to small rural towns and communities for real estate. It can all be done. There's all levels of exposure that are needed. Whether you're an individual agent or a mega team or group, I've worked with them all. I train thousands of realtors and then in other segments of realtors, lenders, builders, developers. to grow and scale their business, like I said, for the past 10 years specifically, and having wonderful, wonderful amounts of success. At the end of the day, I don't look at technology and social media as something to add on. It's a fundamental of business growth. You could be the best at what you do, and you could have great sphere of influence, but at the end of the day, there are more people out there who don't know us than do. So how do we tap into the larger demographics to increase our overall transactions and revenue? But then also, how do we engage with our current sphere, our friends, our family, our past clients, and really dominate the markets that we own or want to own? So that's really what it's all about. And again, I learn from way smarter people than I am. I travel the United States. Not only do I speak, but I attend these events, and I listen and I learn, and I'm hand in hand with the partners that I work with to really grow and scale business. So hopefully I can shed a little bit of light. Today we're going to be talking about video specifically. There's so many different segments of technology, website development, and social media that we could just talk for days and days and days. But this hour is going to be strictly video and podcasting, if we can get to it. It is going to be a fire hose of information, so I just want to state that right off the bat. You have two amazing professionals right in front of you that put this whole thing together. So Carissa and Christina, I mean, what they're doing with closing the deal, if you are not on their Facebook page, you should definitely give it a like. There's great informative information on how you can grow and scale your business. A lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today, please feel free to reach out directly to them. They'd be able to walk you through a ton of this. If we want to do like a super mastermind meeting where all of us get together again and we really pick this apart and grow it for your business, that's really what it's all about. To me, at the end of the day, if you guys are not producing more transactions, if you're not saving time, creating more revenue, then what are we talking about? So I really look at this as a business standpoint, but understanding leveraging technology is what needs to be done, and it's done across the world, and especially for real estate. So don't try to absorb all this. Just pick or choose one or two things that really stand out to you, and then just start working on it. Again, reach out. The resources are in front of you. You don't have to do this alone, and that's a big barrier to entry for a lot of people. So when we get into the video portion, this is the biggest pushback that I get. And it doesn't matter if you've been doing this for 40 years or you just started 4 years ago. I've worked with everybody under the sun, that age range demographic, young, old, male, female, new season. And the pushback is pretty similar. Gosh, Greg, I'm a little nervous. I don't like the way that I look. I don't like the way that I sound. Maybe my hair doesn't look right that day. Maybe I'm not wearing the right outfit. I mean, there's always going to be some kind of excuse for not getting involved with video in some form or fashion. If you haven't already gone through this in your head, you will when I show you these concepts. But this is not my quote. This is a good, I don't want to say a buddy of mine, but a colleague. I've shared the stage with him a couple times. He's an international sensation when it comes down to marketing and advertisement digitally for all industries. Gary Vee, and this is his quote: "You look the way you look, and you sound the way you sound. You got to get over it." The way that you look and the way you sound is exactly how your buyers and your sellers see and hear you. So you're not doing yourself any favors by hiding behind that excuse. The more that you're able to leverage your brand and get people to know, like, and trust you, the more potential relationships you can build and the more transactions you can actually conduct. And this is a true business. I'm not hiding behind a technology curtain. I shake hands, I meet people, I get involved in the community. That never goes away. That's a fundamental of business. But you have to leverage technology to grow and scale. You'll never grow and scale if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So get over that portion. You'll thank me later. Hopefully you'll send me an email or text and say, "Hey Greg, look what I did. It's awesome. And I generated transactions and exposure." Let me play this quick clip, and this will kind of explain a little bit more.
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions. You know what's there? Waiting beyond that beach. Immortality. Take it. It's yours.
Now, I'm a movie nut anyway, and I have a man crush I always have on Brad Pitt. So, just throwing that in there. And when I bring this up to most presentations, look, we don't look like Brad Pitt. That's okay. You don't have to. But what ends up happening with this clip is people get confused about the immortality portion. Oh my gosh, if I put this on Facebook, if I put this on Instagram, if I go on YouTube, everybody's going to be able to see it under the sun. That's fine. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't have to be a major production. It's the paralysis of analysis sort of scenario. Perfection is an illusion. So really just do the best you can and work on it. Practice makes perfect, or at least close to it. But don't be so concerned about the immortality portion. Trust me, it's not going to last forever. And if you make a mistake, can be deleted. You just don't know who's seen it. I get that. But I do want to go into the first segment in here, which ends up being the largest website in the world. This is not going to be a Facebook direct, presentation. I've given so many over the years, and I can really dissect this in so many different ways with advertisement, age ranges, and really developing and growing business and scaling. We're really going to strictly hit on the video portion of this one. So when it comes to Facebook, it is the #1 website in the world. Legally, they're not in Russia, they're not in China. Over 2 billion users, 1.5 billion active users on a regular basis. 1 out of every 5 pages pulled up on the internet worldwide is a Facebook page. They're not going anywhere. The demographics are broken down as far as the youth. They're already gone, which is good for us. So when I talk to a lot of people going to it, oh my gosh, Facebook's for kids, things like that. If you're really not into Facebook or really understand this, I'll tell you that the demographics, the core on Facebook right now, are 35 to 55 years of age. Male-female ratio broken down pretty evenly there. The millennial generation, or the younger kids even into that, 18 to 32, they're onto Instagram, they're onto Snapchat. I'm not a big Snapchat fan, I'm not dogging that. There is a time and a place for Instagram, for sure for the millennials. Last year, I would say 2017, because I haven't seen the new stats through NAR, 33% of the buyers in 2017 were millennials. So they're the biggest generation in the world, they're bigger than the baby boomers. That's the future of the business. If you're going to be in business longer than 5 years, you have to be on Instagram. If you're retiring before that, don't worry about it. Be on Facebook, be on LinkedIn, jump on YouTube, you're good. Which we can talk about that at a whole nother segment. So it is a big deal. If you're not on it, you need to be on it personally in business. But this for strictly video out of 2019, so this is straight through Facebook, which we're here. We're in 2019. So you're looking at 90% of all content on Facebook is video based off of some form or fashion, whether it's an advertisement, whether it's in the news feed, it's video content. We don't want to read it, we want to watch it, we want somebody to explain it to us. Doesn't matter what your age range, doesn't matter what your income is, doesn't matter if you're a male or female, it's right there. And these are stats that are directly through the source. So now that's one thing, okay, you can say, all right, maybe it's saturated. I tell people that if you weren't involved in video 2 years ago, you've missed a huge opportunity already. It's not too late. I don't want to be the naysayer, but the people who are early adopters, they always have the lion's share of the business or the opportunity. On the other side of that coin, if it's a flop, yeah, they could have wasted time too, but no risk, no reward. This risk on video is huge. So anybody who's adopted it already, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even further, they've crushed it in real estate, absolutely crushed it. A lot of professionals that have not even started with video, and I sit down with them and I explain what's important, how you do it, and what's structuring, they're absolutely increasing their revenue and transactions. And this is all tracked. This is not just hooey, that's, hey, let's put this out there and let's see if this works. Everything has to be tracked. Treat it like a business, treat it like a transaction. It's extremely important. If you're not a Facebook believer, for whatever reason, hopefully you are a believer of something called the internet. So when it comes down to the internet by 2020, which we're knocking at the door, 81% of all internet traffic and content is video. I'll say that again, 81% of all traffic by 2020 on the internet will be video consumption. So if you're not creating video series about neighborhoods, frequently asked questions for buyers and sellers, follow up through the transaction and what ended up going through, community involvement, things along those lines, team and culture videos, which I'll touch on all these different things a little bit later, you really need to jump on board. Get on it, whether you're doing it on your own or you're hiring a company, we'll talk about those things. I always work on a shoestring budget. The people that I work with, I treat your money like it's mine. And I think that's extremely important. There's a lot of things you can do with digital and social and technology to scale and grow your business where you're not spending a fortune. Trust me when I tell you though, I have the other side where I work with mega teams that are spending a fortune every single month on this stuff because they see that high of a return on investment. But you gotta start somewhere, right? Take that first step. Take the first step, grow your business with a lot of these things we're gonna talk about today. See that new revenue come in that's tracked. He said, hey, you know what? I took this course and I was sitting through and this was awesome and I implemented this and I have this much more money than I did last quarter. What can I do to reinvest that? That's where you need to get involved with Carissa and Christina and then get going, move forward, but you gotta start somewhere. So when it comes to Facebook in its entirety, there's a whole series of questions that people ask me as far as what's the best video. Okay, Greg, I get the exposure I can get, I understand the age range, demographics, and this is all states, all cities. A lot of the rural areas that I go into, they're like, well, people really aren't on Facebook. I will tell you they are. This is a worldwide phenomenon. This is not, you're in a secret place where no one's on Facebook. everyone is. I'm not saying that they're not consuming traditional advertising, TV, radio, park benches, if you're looking at it from door knockers, direct mail fees. I'm not saying they're not doing that on a large scale in a rural area, but I will tell you that they are doing this on top of it, no matter what age range it goes through. And when I work with the senior markets, especially the well-to-do, affluent seniors that don't really hit these core demographics, the savvy professionals, when I work on the high luxury market, they're extremely tech savvy. So it just depends on those pockets. But I always talk about that too. If you're hitting the senior market, that's a whole nother conversation that we can adjust. But core, 35 to 55, really buyers and sellers, they're right in there and they're on this site. But the hierarchy of video upload is something that I get a lot of. So that's down there below. It's this hierarchy: live, raw, and YouTube. That's how Facebook wants to see it. Now, the rule of thumb with this is if you put up a link on Facebook in the feed and it's taking them out of Facebook, they don't like that because you're downsizing their traffic, the time frame that somebody spends on their site. So never upload a video, never upload a link that takes them out. It needs to be embedded, it needs to keep them in Facebook, because what happens is if they see that, they're gonna take that article, that video, whatever is not original content to Facebook or raw content to Facebook, they're gonna drop it way down on the news feed. So that means that very few people are gonna see it, and very few people are gonna be able to like, comment, or share it, which means there's gonna be very little exposure for the time that you invested. So that's why I break this whole thing down. So if you're doing video, the best thing right now, and has been for a while, is Facebook Live. Now, this isn't something that I tell everybody to jump right into. If you haven't done a lot of video, there's no retakes, there's no cuts. It's just like right now. I mean, if I start sneezing uncontrollably, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm live in front of you guys, there's nothing I can do. And it's the same thing that applies. So there's a higher level of pressure, but with that risk and pressure comes reward, because Facebook wants people to engage. This is social media. This is about getting together with people, getting to know, like, and trust each other, and build relationships. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what real estate is all about: building relationships, building your reputation and rapport in your communities with the buyers and sellers that you want to work with or have in the past. So Facebook rewards you for going live when it comes down to that. The next segment, if you're not gonna go live, is raw footage. Now, what I say about raw footage, you don't need anything crazy. I'll talk about equipment towards the end. But really all you need is a relevant smartphone. So if it's a newer Samsung, a newer iPhone, any kind of newer device that'll do 1080p high resolution imagery or video recording, that's all you need. When it comes down to it, to do your footage. But if you have a DSLR camera or something like that, or a 4K webcam, you can use that too. But the point is, record that footage, whether it's a client testimonial collage, whether it's a neighborhood video, whether it's a walkthrough to your new listing, whether you're showcasing a local coffee shop that's really dominant in your neighborhood that you're farming. Do it with your phone or your DSLR camera. Take that raw footage, right, just straight from your device, and then upload that to Facebook. So it's not live. You have an opportunity to edit it if you have editing software, or you can literally just take it from your phone or from whatever camera you have and upload it straight to Facebook. That's called a raw upload, and that's almost as good as live. It's a little less, and I'll break that down in a second. The third category and the worst is YouTube or external links like Vimeo. Like I said, if you upload a YouTube link into Facebook, they're gonna bump it way down low on their search. It's very rarely gonna be seen at all. It doesn't matter what the content is, because Facebook and YouTube are competing. So any competing sites, things along those lines, you just have to follow that hierarchy. So I'll break it down. If you have the same clip, let's say it's a 2-minute video, live versus raw versus YouTube, and what the difference in view count. Live might be 2,000 to 3,000 views, right? Same 2-minute clip. Underneath that in particular would be raw. You might be lucky if you get 200 to 300 views. Underneath that would be the YouTube link, that same 2-minute video clip, you might be lucky if you get 20 to 30 views. That's how drastic it is when you're uploading that. Now the loophole is if you are on YouTube and you have a YouTube channel and you want to start exposing that, put the link, anything that's embedded outside of Facebook, put the link in the comment section below. So what I tell a lot of my YouTubers or anybody who's doing building a lot of business that way in real estate, I say take a screenshot of their actual thumbnail and then upload that photo into Facebook, and at the top say, hey, check out my brand new video on how, the top 5 things to do to dramatically improve the curb appeal of your home, and then say, link to YouTube in comments below. That's a loophole, so you won't get penalized, and that's the best practices when it comes down to that. So I do want to address that it's important. If you can go live, take baby steps and start going through. Everything is consistency. Now, the next category outside of Facebook, obviously, is YouTube. We can't talk about video in any form or fashion on the internet without YouTube. It's the second largest search engine on the planet. Google purchased YouTube in 2006, so they're one and the same. So when we talk about SEO or search engine optimization, this is a huge opportunity. When someone types in top realtors in Albuquerque, New Mexico, best neighborhoods in such and such area, best school districts, best custom builders, whatever the case may be, those generic searches, that's what the majority of the population is typing in. They're not typing in Greg Fowler Realty. It doesn't matter how popular I am in my market. Again, there are more people who don't know me than do. They're looking for my product and service as a real estate professional. They're not looking for me specifically, most of the time. So how we get there is with playing the rules to Google, which is a whole nother segment, which I'm not gonna get into. But why I mentioned YouTube is they're one and the same. So if you type in something like, how does my credit score affect me getting a home loan? Or what are the best ways to sell my house for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time? And you have these different things. What are the top 5 neighborhoods, or school districts in Albuquerque? When someone types that in, you have a video that is titled, tagged, and described properly. It'll show up on Google search. So there's a whole group of people who didn't know who you were, didn't even know you were in the business. Now they have access to your brand. Now they have access to your knowledge, your credibility, your expertise. You're teaching them something, showing all these things. You have an opportunity now to potentially earn their business with that ask, which I'll talk about a little bit later. I'm not going to go through all these stats down below, but what I do want to touch on is the percentage of demographics, because again, this is extremely important. Are the people who I'm trying to get in front of in these sites? And that's what you got to ask yourself. Who are my demographics? Having your finger on the pulse. Who are my clients? What are their age ranges? What are their incomes? What parts of town do they live in? I don't need to tell you guys this. This is nothing new. But understand the sites and the places where they're spending their time, and that's where you need to be, right? You need to be accessible the way they want to access you. And I'm not saying that traditionalism doesn't work, right? What happened 10 years ago or works for marketing and advertisement, it's gone now. And then it's cyclical. 5 years ago, it comes back. But you gotta know what's relevant. You can't just keep doing the same things over and over, because I'm telling you, when I'm working with some of these newer professionals, and I'll mention some of these a little bit later, they've been doing this for 5 or 7 years. They're absolutely crushing their competition that's been doing this for 30 or 40. And the problem is that the 30 or 40 competition, and that's the majority of who I work with, 25 plus years in the business, as far as realtors, lenders, builders, developers, that's who I roll with. So I understand the traditionalism and the success that they've had in their career to build up, but these newer professionals now, they didn't have, there's so much access to technology that wasn't there 15 years ago, that they're able to leverage that higher and scale their business faster than these professionals that started 20, 30, 40 years ago. So again, there's nothing stopping from anybody to adding that to their plate. And if you already have an existing reputation, it even accelerates further. But when it comes down to this, if you look at the stats, which is kind of the base off of majority, is, so you got 25 to 34, which is 23%. You got 35 years of age to 44, which is 26%. And then it drops 45 to 54 at 16%, and then it goes through. So when it comes down to it, YouTube, you can easily say that from 25 years of age to 44, it's a pretty high concentration of consumers that are really on this on a daily basis, that are looking for. Now, when it comes to stats, as of last year, 73% of buyers through the National Association of Realtors Googled the neighborhood that they were trying to buy a home in or look to for information, and they got that from YouTube. 73% of buyers YouTube that neighborhood. So just imagine that the majority of buyers are looking for information. They're not calling you first. They're not texting you. They're not driving through the neighborhood. They're throwing it into a Google search, and they're looking on YouTube for a 2-minute, 5-minute, hey everybody, thanks so much for stopping by Flying Horse. I just want to show you what an amazing community this is, and let's take a look. You go over the parks, the recreation, the schools, the commute times, everything that's relevant for that lifestyle of that particular neighborhood. That's where people are consuming that data. And hey, 73%, you got a first shot, first crack at showing that you're the expert, that you know the neighborhood, that you're credible. At the end of it, hey, if you like this neighborhood or anything around it, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you with any of your real estate needs. That's an opportunity that you didn't have before. Always having multiple lines of income, right? So if you're looking at it, I have my traditional sphere, it's great. I manage it, I have 740 people that I've done transactions with for over 20 years. That's wonderful. You're gonna get a certain amount of referrals from that. Referral business is huge. This is a digital referral. This is a digital door knock, this is a digital handshake. I don't know how else to break it down, but this is able to scale in large ways. You're still doing what you've always done, you're just adding to it. And again, leveraging this, not adding more to your plate, not being a complete nerd on the computer all day long, still getting out and involved and letting this run in the background if you set it up the right way. Systems are everything. Anybody who's been doing this for a long time, they understand systems are everything. So when it comes down to YouTube though, a lot of people started out thinking that it was a site that just watched videos like this. I don't know if anybody remembers that particular video or that song, but you know, it's crazy on YouTube that has over 3 billion views. So I mean, there was a time and a place where YouTube was a time killer. Now it's completely morphed and changed. It used to be heavy into entertainment, late night television and or music videos. Now it's heavy into DIY, education. That's where people are going to YouTube in droves, and especially for real estate. There's no mistake. Consumers are going to YouTube to understand everything through the real estate transaction, whether it's your first home or it's your 5th home. And there's stats to back that up all the way through. When it comes down to setting up YouTube properly though, you could create a beautiful video series and you can be very consistent with it, but if you're not doing these next 3 steps, no one's gonna see it. No one's gonna be able to engage with it. It's not gonna actually have search engine optimization, and you're pretty much wasting your time as far as I'm concerned. So if you are thinking about getting involved in YouTube, these 3 areas are super important. The first thing is the title of the video. Now it might sound simple, okay, yeah, I gotta put a title on it. What data you're putting in the title is crucially important for it to actually show up underneath the search. So ask yourself, okay, if you're creating a video, who is it gonna hit, right? Who are you trying to talk to? Is it buyers, is it sellers, is it investors, right? Is it certain age ranges or demographics? You have to understand who your audience is before you create any kind of marketing content, right? But when it comes down to the title itself, you need to imagine that you're that end user. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you can't sleep and you're interested in a product, a service, or a topic. What would you type into Google to find out some information on that? So for example, I'll use the, how to dramatically improve the curb appeal of your home. If I'm thinking about potentially cutting the realtor out because I saw some silly Zillow commercial where there's iBuyers and all these different things, or maybe I'll do it for sell by owner, how do I dramatically improve the curb appeal of my home? And then your video pops up right at the top. And there's all kinds of articles, but look, I'm not gonna read it because most consumers won't. It's not that we're illiterate, it's not that we're lazy, it's just coming down to the facts and demographics of what people are clicking on, and it's video over written content. So when we're actually watching it, you're educating me through the process. Here are the top 5 things you can do, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions with this, or potentially listing your home or really getting it done, I just want to show that there's a few different things that are going on that you might want to be aware of. Give them the information ahead of time. Give them strategic value that if they watch it and they never talk to you again, they're smarter and better for it. It's a strategic give, right? And I talked about this when I get into ad set, which I won't today. But you really need to just constantly give free value. Show your expertise, show your knowledge, and give them a piece of who you are. What the video is about, then you have a likelihood of showing up on Google search. That's rule number 1, is the title is correct. Number 2 is description. Description sections, keyword sections, and SEO sections drive traffic. This is extremely important. This is what Google pays attention to. You need to know their rules. And look, I keep mentioning Google. I don't care about Yahoo or Bing. 86 point some odd percent, so I would say 87% of the world uses Google for a search engine. So I don't care about Yahoo, I don't care about Bing. Cater to the majority, not the minority, where the most eyes and ears are gonna be on your message. Everybody piggybacks off of Google when it comes to the search. I mean, people say, look it up on the internet, they say Google it. I mean, this is how big this site is. I don't need to explain that to everybody in here, but descriptions that's essentially where Google's trying to find data, because they're not reading the image, they're not reading the actual video, they're reading the data that's inputted, and that's in the description section, which is right underneath the video. So what I tell everybody is, after they watch the 2-minute video, 5-minute video, whatever the clip may be, educational, informative, if it's interview style, whatever, you always have a one-liner that thanks them for their time, right? So you want to say, hey, thanks so much for watching this video. Hopefully it was helpful and walked you through the process of, the top 5 things that I recommend dramatically improving your curb appeal, however you want to break it down. If you have any questions and you really want to reach out, meet for a cup of coffee and chat about your real estate needs, please feel free to contact me below. Always leave that at the end. Please feel free to contact me, because sometimes people won't do it. You just got to leave that door open. So having that one-liner, thanking them for watching the video, and then kind of recapping the video shortly, underneath that is all your contact information, right? So your phone number, your email, your office address if you have a brick and mortar, and then all of your social channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, if your Zillow account, your main website, any client testimonial collages. That way the consumer, no matter what age, no matter what demographic they sit in, they can connect with you the way they want to. They can research you the way that they want to. That's a big issue that I have across the United States, and it's getting better with real estate professionals. You guys are like ninjas, right? Or ghost agents, where I'm referred to you, and my best friend said you're the best in the business. I'm gonna Google you. I can't call you, I can't text you, I can't email you. It's almost impossible to get a hold of you. That's super frustrating, and consumers don't have the patience. In Springs, I don't know the demographic, right where you guys are at directly, but in my demographics, on average, every single consumer in Colorado Springs and El Paso County knows 3 to 5 realtors on a personal basis. 3 to 5. Their next door neighbor, somebody in their church group, somebody in their basketball league. That's your competition. Even though in El Paso County right now we have 5,000 registered realtors, I think the activity is like 4,300 active realtors that are in there. They're actually licensed realtors, not subcategories, anything like that. So that's not your competition. Your competition is the 3 to 5 personal relationships. And how you overcome that is by being accessible, showing credibility, and getting exposed to the masses in the right ways when they're looking for your product or service, which is what we're talking about here. So description sections are important, have that in there. Last but not least is tags. I'm not talking about hashtags, right? That's a whole nother category. I'm not gonna get into hashtags today. But when we're talking about tagging, think of keywords. Think of that content that I discussed earlier. When a buyer or seller is looking for a product or service, a real estate professional, custom builder, whatever the case may be, a lender, they're typing in certain keywords or phrases into Google search. That's what you want to imagine putting into YouTube on every single video. Those keywords that if someone were to type it in, you'd want your video to pop up under Google search. That's what you need to think about. So have that in the back of your head. I think you can upload 30 or 40, they fluctuate back and forth, but 30 to 40 tags in every single video, and I recommend maxing that out. So your location, right, your occupation, your name, your office, but then any keyword that's related or any keyword that you'd want to show up underneath Google search with that video, so when someone's typing it in, it works. And that's how you're categorized, which is very important into this. So pay attention to that. I always tell my people, have a cheat sheet, whether it's a note in your phone or a Word file, and then just have your 30 to 40 keywords that you do and copy paste. Just copy and paste it in every video. YouTube will actually allow you to continuously use the same ones. It's a setting in the back end, so it doesn't cost anything. You just say, I want these tags to be on every single video. It'll automatically go over once you upload them the one time, and then you can add strategic keywords in there if it's a different video related, if it's DIY project, neighborhood, whatever the case may be. Those 3 things will make a night and day difference with your YouTube. A lot of that segues over to Facebook, Instagram TV, things along those lines, but we're just talking about YouTube here specifically. So other than that, into YouTube, I'm not gonna get heavy into advertising into it, but I would recommend anybody who's doing a lot of video now or is really serious about planning this out and really scaling their business with video and real estate, I'd highly recommend looking into TrueView with YouTube. It's pennies on the dollar. Again, I don't work for them. I have no affiliation with any of these companies. It's just research and what actually works in real estate today. There are 3 types of ads that you can do on YouTube. It is the #1 video consumption site in the world. So when it comes down to traditional marketing and advertisement and TV, no one's watching commercials. So it's 86%, but it fluctuates up and down. But it's been pretty consistent. 86% of Americans have a TiVo, DVR, some kind of recording device. Out of those 86% of Americans, 90% never watch commercials. So unless if it's the Super Bowl, the Oscars, personally, I don't watch commercials. I'm not watching a lot of TV to begin with. But you got to think about the different ways we're consuming that type of content. Netflix, Hulu, Roku, Apple TV, and YouTube. So there's lots of different ways that we can consume our favorite shows, what's going on. Now, the only reason, in my opinion, why regular television, DirecTV, Comcast, the whole nine, is hanging on is live sports. Well, they're already streaming that as it is, so it's only a matter of time before all that crumbles. You can mark my words. It's only a matter of time. Local news is extremely important. I think that that's a facet as well. But the fact of the matter is, most people aren't watching commercials. They might be listening to them, because here's what happens. You're sitting on the couch, your favorite show's on, commercial comes on, you know the next 2 to 5 minutes is just gonna be a bunch of advertisements. Here's what you do. You get up, you go to the bathroom. You're playing with the kids, you're playing with the dog, you get up and get some food, or what most people do, they jump on their cell phone. They're not actually paying attention to commercials the way that they used to, right? So even if you're there, you're still not really there. Well, YouTube's different. So when it comes to YouTube, and we're all the same boat, at least this is how I am. Watching any kind of content, entertainment, education on YouTube, a video ad comes on and I'm waiting to push that button to skip it. It's like, in 10 seconds, you can skip 5, 4, 3, 2, and I'm waiting and I just skip the thing. But I'm not getting up and going to the bathroom, I'm not jumping on my phone, I'm not ignoring it. I still see Toyota, right? I still see the different Coca-Cola ads or whatever's coming at me. It's still getting in there a lot higher and a lot better than any kind of traditional TV. And it's pennies on the dollar. When I have a lot of people, and I work with a lot of people that still do traditional TV, they spend tens of thousands of dollars a month really to get on the morning news, evening news, things like that. That's when they've been in the business for 20 plus years. They have large amounts of revenue to burn. It's more of an ego thing. We agree to disagree. These are good friends of mine, but there are much better ways for you to spend your time and your money with a much higher return on investment. YouTube would be it. You take a fraction of that ad set and you would be everywhere on YouTube, dynamically searched, which I'm not going to get into that and explain kind of the differences into that, but it's extremely accurate, it's extremely affordable. It won't be forever. So again, long story short, if you haven't heard of TrueView with YouTube, I'd recommend looking at it. If you plan on doing a lot of video for your business, your brand, or if you're already doing it, huge opportunity right now. So here are a few other, practical applications. So some people are like, okay, Greg, well, maybe I'm not ready to go live. Maybe I'm not ready to create a bunch of different ad sets. Maybe I'm not, ready to launch a YouTube channel. How else can I use this for little or no cost? Because again, I always look at it as that barrier to entry. If it's too costly, time constraints or confusion, I get it. You guys are not going to do it. I understand where you're coming from. So this is really what it breaks down to me. These are some really, really great ways to utilize video, little or no cost. You don't need any crazy equipment. So for me, it comes down to the first and foremost follow-up. So if you are meeting with a buyer or seller, so that's prior to or after the fact with a client, you can take out your smartphone and you can literally be at your office, a coffee shop, or in your car and say, hey Greg, I'm super excited to get together with you at 4 o'clock today to show you a little bit about what I do to list homes in your neighborhood. Oh, by the way, underneath is a link to some of my happy clients that I've helped sell their homes in your area. I can look forward to seeing you at 4 o'clock. You're saying my name, you're looking at me. It's very similar to this clip down here. I do a ton of video in my car in between appointments. Time is money, it's extremely valuable. So you just want to do those follow-ups and follow through. I get more engagement on these quick cell phone car videos than any other thing that I do. And all the professionals are like, wow, how did you do that? I said, I just pulled my phone out and I just shot it and I texted it over to you. These formats can be texted, emailed, they can be shared via social media, messengers, things like that. I always mirror my client, and I'm sure everybody in the room does the same thing. If they call you, you call them. If they text you, you text them. You always want to do it in the comfort zone. But if they are in an email, text, or social format, highly recommend following up or following through with a video. It's going to make an impression. And again, it's a time for you to get in front of them. So before that appointment, I think is great. After the fact, let's just say you were the seller. hey, you know, I'm super excited to potentially list your home. I know you said you had to take a look at a couple other options. Hopefully I'm still in the running. By the way, here's some happy clients that have helped list their homes in your neighborhood. I look forward to it. Thanks so much. I love, you know, meeting your dog and your kids, whatever. Same thing on the buyer side. Hey, it was great getting together today, looking at those 3 to 5 houses. I sent you all those documents that we talked about before. By the way, I'm really excited to take a look at 3 more tomorrow. I'll see you in the morning. Take care. Those are quick videos that you're involved through the transaction as well. So think about any time frame that you can automate, right? So anything that you get for buyers and sellers, what are the top questions? What are the top frequently asked questions for buyers, top frequently asked questions for sellers? These are video series that you can automate and create, right? You can set those out on a drip. You're working with a buyer. Here's the first email that goes out in BombBomb, or you send it out via text, and then it goes out. You're there throughout the whole transaction. That's a big pushback that I get from a lot of the top producers that I work with. They're doing mega amounts of transactions per month, and they're getting away from their consumer. They're not as hands-on as they used to be when they started. This helps bridge that gap a little bit. So what happens is that they don't feel like they're left. They see you once and then you're not even at the closing. These videos are automated throughout the transaction so that you're always there, so you're always educating, you're walking through, hey, here are the next steps. The appraiser's gonna come through, this is what you're looking for, da 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 da. Here's the title company that I'd recommend, or 3 that I recommend. This is what I would do, here are the contacts and the email down below. You gotta think about as much automation as you can, but adding your personality, your flavor, and who you are. That's video. It's the closest thing that we can do when it comes down to building rapport and building relationships. We might have already discussed this, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but you know, nothing's gonna beat shaking hands and getting face-to-face with a cup of coffee to build a relationship or to extend one, right, with a buyer, seller, friend, or family member. But the more emotions we can involve in the sales process, the better we are. A text message is only gonna do so much, an email is only gonna do so much. A phone call is a little bit better, but a video call is even better. That's the closest thing to face-to-face, because that's what we're doing right now, right? So imagine these things and how you can streamline. So before or after appointments, I think is good. The follow-up and follow-through, I think, is fantastic. Looking at it from another standpoint is the continuous throughout the year, the holidays, the birthdays, the major community events, doing video follow-up on those. So holidays and birthdays, I think you break it down. If it's Christmas, if it's Thanksgiving, you know, you want to look at these things and say, hey, I can send out the e-card, I can do my pop buys, that's fine, and those are great, being physical, but when you're trying to streamline and really grow or make a bigger impression, you can still drop the pies off for Thanksgiving and have that big pumpkin patch that's hired out, and you have all the kids and family come in, you do a videographer of that, and you blast it out. One of my buddies, she literally did that. She rented out an entire pumpkin patch for the day, had all of her clients come in, friends, family. They had a videographer, a drone. They were getting all the footage. It was awesome. Within 2 days, there was over 9,000 views on that video. She generated a ton of transactions and exposure from that pumpkin patch event, but it was captured on video. So if you're doing these events like renting out theaters, if you're doing client appreciation parties, even if it's a small dinner or get together, or if it's a bigger event, get it on video. Use it to expand who you are, because consumers are gonna look at that and say, shoot, my realtor didn't have a pumpkin patch with, you know, face painters and all this different stuff, and then, you know, cider, and I mean, you really gotta paint that picture. You're going above and beyond the transaction. So getting on video is great. So I digress. Holidays, I think, are fantastic. A lot of people miss Thanksgiving, even though there's the pies and all these things that are going on, the door knocking, whatnot. But imagine if you created a video where it said something like, hey, I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't be where I am today without all your love and support. On Thanksgiving, I'm so thankful for all of you and your families. Have a blessed day. Thanks so much. If you were to send that out to your clients, it's much better than a handwritten card, because you're looking at them, you're talking to them, you're being sincere, you're showing that nature. Now, if they're a huge client or a big referral partner, say their name. Do it customized, talk about their kids, talk about the year, or how many times you got them together, whatever. But you can do it in different levels. But that Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's video, you can do it generically and go out to everybody if it feels personal, or you can be very specific. One of my buddies sent me one on Thanksgiving I thought was great. It was very simple. Cell phone, he's on there, he's a lender buddy of mine. I helped him crush his business. He's literally walking his dog. I'm at the dog park with my wife and my dogs, and I get this text, and it's Andrew. And he's just on the trail with his dog, and he just thanked me from the bottom of his heart for being a great friend and a mentor, and it touched me. It made me feel really special. You know, he's doing what I said, and that was only one time, right? That was one time, one person, but it really does make an impact. So I've seen this across every community, so there's a lot of really cool things you can do with that. But think about all the major holidays and any events, St. Patrick's Day, Cinco de Mayo. These are things that are long lasting, right? If it's Memorial Day, 4th of July, you can create video content that you can send out that's evergreen, that you can do every year for follow-up. You're doing drip email campaigns. This is social media content. This is private or public, however you want to break it down. We already talked about the education. So frequently asked questions for top 5, buyers, sellers, whatever they're asking you through the transaction, create a video series. If they're asking it to you during the transaction, people are looking it up on YouTube. People are Googling it. This is an opportunity for you to get in front of a group of people that never had access to you before. They're actually looking for your product or service and your help. So the education phase is crucially important. I can talk about that all day long. Neighborhoods and communities, this is very, very, very important. So many people miss it. They do great photos. They might have a drone. It's there. It's selling. It's looking at the house from a standpoint of, here's the 7 bedrooms and 12 bathrooms and 8,700 square feet home. Blah blah blah. Here's a pool. Here's everything that's going on there. The problem when I have these particular scenarios is it's not really selling the home to the fullest extent. And everybody in the room will understand what I'm saying when I say this. It's a lifestyle. When it comes down to purchasing a home, there's a reason why somebody's doing it. It's not just because it's a beautiful space, it's what's around it. What's the community represent? What parks and recreations are around? What school districts is it in? What do the commute times look like? Is there a community gym? Are there local restaurants that are there that are very popular? Is the shopping there? That's what people are really buying into, because there's a lot of places in most cities or towns where you can spend 200, 300, 400, 500,000 plus, right? So you got to sell the entire experience. So getting that and saying, when you're sitting in a listing presentation, saying, hey, you know what? I'm curious, Greg, why did you buy this house in the first place? Oh gosh, I'm a big golfer. I like that there's a 9, I can jump on, do 9 holes real quick, right in the neighborhood, and then I can get back to the office in no time. Or my wife's a workout nut. We got a club right here. She goes to the gym twice a day. Or my kids are everything and so is their education, and these are some of the best schools here in the city. Whatever the reasons may be. Or I work up north, so it's nice to be on the north end so I can jet up to Denver. It's easy peasy. You can say, Greg, I completely understand that. And what I do very specific is I make sure that every single potential buyer who's looking at your property above and beyond this beautiful house is going to understand those exact same things that you mentioned. And I have custom neighborhood or community videos that I attach to every single one of my listings. This is stuff that's going to separate you from your competitors, because most people aren't doing this. They're just taking great photos and video of the actual house. Go above and beyond. Separate yourself from your competitors. Now, in a hot market, people look, I don't need to create this. The houses are selling too fast. This is not the point. The point is in the future, when it slows, because it always does, this is cyclical, right? This market goes up and down. It's only a matter of time before this flatlines, or flattens, I should say. It's not going to do what it did in 2007 and 8 as far as a crash is concerned, but it will slow. So building your portfolio now, taking this good footage and having this good information so that when you're sitting down and it's harder to get these or there's less opportunity, you will shine. You'll showcase above everybody who was just flying by the seat of their pants because it was a good market. When it's a good market, most people do well. It's when it's a bad market, everybody leaves and flips burgers. This is what ends up happening in the business. The true professionals stay the long term because they're planning ahead. And I can't stress, I'm not trying to scare anybody, and I'm sure that a lot of you know this in the room already. So really think about how you can cultivate your portfolio. Neighborhood and community is huge. A lot of my buddies, which is right now super hot across the United States, is doing a day in the life of a homeowner. So what you'll do is you will actually have a mocked up neighborhood, one that you dominate, one that you're that household name or you want to be. You have a particular homeowner in that particular house, and you follow them throughout the day. And stylistically, this is something you don't want to do yourself. You hire a crew, maybe a few $100s to maybe $1,000, $1,500, depending on the production value. I always tell people to go to local universities. Young kids are always looking for internships, videographers. There's a ton of young nerds out there that have the equipment that'll do this for nothing. But you got to reach out to the universities and then really be in pace with that. But what you're doing is you're following that homeowner. So they wake up in the morning, sunrise, they get out of bed, they're making breakfast for the family, they get the kids off to school, they go to the club, they're working out, then they come back and they're meeting their friends for lunch at the local steakhouse that's there in that neighborhood. Then they meet everybody back at home, they have a bunch of friends over for a barbecue, and then the sun's setting and they're having a glass of wine out on their back deck. What that's portraying is a lifestyle. It's an emotional thing, right? It's not just bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. There's more to it, but video can get that across. Now, you're not gonna do that with every single listing or every single opportunity, but you have one. And then you offer it and you say, hey, this is something that I do for my VIP clients. I'd love to really showcase these properties in a different way. Think about how you can use this technology different. Last but not least is local businesses. I do this all the time with my particular show, which I'll get to in a second. Influencers. Think about who are the influencers in your markets, right? So who has a lot of exposure out to your neighborhoods? Who has a lot of exposure out to different communities that you work with, whether they're principals of schools, people on boards, businesses, things along those lines, coffee shops, cocktail lounges, restaurant owners. They have lots of friends, they have lots of connections. So if you're interviewing these people and you're really telling their story and getting it out there, guess what? You have a sphere and so do they. But their sphere is fantastic because everybody that they know, besides the realtors that they know, which are all consumers, you can help them buy or sell homes. You have an opportunity to get in front of the brand of these thousands of potential people doing a video that you didn't have access to before. So utilizing other people, partnering and picking those influencers is crucial. You're not gonna interview another realtor. That's not gonna do you any good, right? You don't wanna get in front of other real estate professionals, but you do wanna get in front of other consumers, right? Because those consumers have friends in the communities. Can't stress that enough. So again, whether it's an interview style scenario, whether it's a follow-up or follow-through, if you do any public speaking or engagements, you have any publications, get that on video too, right? If you're on a board and you're giving a presentation to first-time home buyers, right? Get that on video and showcase that out. It shows that you're an expert, that you have knowledge and credibility, not just you pounding on your chest and saying I'm the best in the business. No one cares what we say. It matters what the consumers say and what they hear. Perception is reality, so you want to paint that picture to the public. And the majority of the public, their first impression is your digital space. I'm not going to get into those stats, but that's the facts, no matter what market or demographic it's in. Last but not least into here, and I'm just checking for time. Okay, I'm going way over, I'm sorry. So I will talk about LinkedIn another day. Don't miss this opportunity. Higher net worth individuals, these are the core demographic when it comes down to the older age range of 35 to 55. These are decision makers. So if you're not on LinkedIn, it's a sleeper site that people don't really know or pay attention to. They think it's an online resume. Trust me when I tell you, my clients specifically generate more business on LinkedIn than any other site. I mean, I can talk about YouTube and Facebook and all the greatness that's there. This is huge opportunity. I don't even have time to get into it, but look at LinkedIn or just, send Carissa, Christina messages. If you guys want to go over anything in more detail, maybe we can set another one of these up at a later date. And if they get enough emails saying, hey, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about ad set or building this out, we can set up another one where we dive deep. We can dive deep into that and really have huge understanding. I just want to kind of glaze over this for everybody.
Hey Logan, what's going on? This is Greg Fowler.
That was just an emoji, right? So you can be fun with that too if you wanted to do that. I think that's kind of fun to go through. There is a lot more, which I'm not going to even touch on today. There's so much more to do with video. This is more advanced. So when I go into heavy producers that have already dominated their spaces, they've really had huge exposure and revenue and transactions with video, and a lot of the stuff we already talked about, they want to take it to the next level. There's drone footage, there's 3D, there's 360 technology, and there's virtual reality. There's so many things that you can do, and I'm telling you, absolute huge transaction volume because of this segment. So this is something I'll have to cover another time when it comes down to it. So last but not least in this, and then we'll wrap the whole thing up because I'm almost there, is podcasting. So when it comes down to podcasting, this is something that is extremely relevant right now. Where video was 5 years ago, that's where podcasting is right now. So anybody that I tell that I said, hey, you might have missed a big chunk of the boat with video, or a lot of revenue that you could have generated, it's okay. You can still generate and play catch up and then get on it. But if you really wanted to get ahead of the curve like people did with video, it's podcasting. This is something that is generating monstrous amount of revenue in real estate for industry professionals, showing credibility. My show is Real Estate Titans. So essentially what I do is I interview the top real estate professionals across the United States that I have affiliations with, that I know, and getting their perspective, their why, what drives them, what motivates them, getting tactics, anything strategic that can be shared out there. So I will be filming episode 115 today, this afternoon. So there are a lot of applications. Take a look at the Facebook page. So I do 2 interviews a week, every Tuesday and Friday afternoon. Different location, different type. It is live. So just in case anybody's wondering, it's not edited, it's not scripted. This is live. I'm doing that, as you know, for the right reasons. Live is rewarding me with thousands of impressions. Every Tuesday and Friday, on video format alone, I get 2,800 to 10,000 views on every episode. So if you do the math, that's a lot of eyes and ears on my brand and my message with top producers, because I'm leveraging influencers. They're getting huge exposure, and so am I, because that's partnerships. So when it comes down to it, I think that's crucially important, is capturing it in video. Now, when I spread this out into podcast format, I do what's called the trifecta. So this is next level stuff, but again, I definitely, if you want to know more information, just send Carissa or Christina an email, and I can give you any information that I have and dive deeper. The trifecta is video, audio, and text. So I shoot the show live, right? It goes on Facebook Live, and then it gets syndicated to every single site that allows that live footage: Facebook, Instagram TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. So when that goes live, what happens is I take that file, which I could very easily explain and show this to you, but I take that MP3 file from the MP4, which is the video, and I rip that into audio, and it's uploaded to my source site, which is Podbean. So when it comes to podcasting, you have to have a host site, and there's tons of them. Some are free, some are paid. I use Podbean, and essentially from Podbean, it automates out to iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. I will tell you that even though I get 28 to 10,000 views every Tuesday and Friday on those video syndications, I get a lot more on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. The majority of the show and the engagement is an audio file. So I will state to you that if you have a message to share, if you have knowledge, if you want to start your own series of local community experts, get involved in community, you don't have to do it as frequent as every Tuesday and Friday. You can do it once a month, you can do it once a week, right? You can do it every day if you have that time. But time is money, so you have to see the revenue generated from it. But it's ultra amounts of exposure. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to get out of this this presentation real quick, and I want to show you examples of a few people that I work with directly that are absolutely crushing it with podcasting and video, that are actual real estate professionals. They're real people. They're not just some magical marketing firm that's just painting this beautiful picture. This is real test cases. Peter Lorimer is a good buddy of mine. I had him on my show. He's out of Los Angeles, California, Beverly Hills. He has a very popular show on Netflix called Stay Here. He's a broker-owner of PLG Estates. He has 5 offices in LA. He is a personality. And if you want to follow somebody who's doing it right on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, follow Peter. He's fantastic. He's really leveraging technology the way that real estate professionals should be. So he's a good example. Peter Lorimer, great guy for sure. And you can check his episode out on Titans as well. Adam Contos, I'm not plugging RE/MAX. I've had the CEO of RE/MAX Worldwide, Adam Contos, on my show. World headquarters of RE/MAX happens to be in Denver, so it was very convenient that way for me, but he's a great guy. Took over for Dave Liniger. Dave's a fantastic guy. RE/MAX is a great company. No company's perfect. I work with everybody. I play no bias. But Adam Contos has a phenomenal podcast, Start With a Win. And again, he's engaging, and it's not just realtors, right? My show is realtors, lenders, builders, developers. That's my house. That's where I stay. You got to think about who your end user is, what your consumer is, and what they actually care about. So Adam goes real estate related, but he also goes out of it, which I love. He has Olympic athletes, he has CEOs of companies, he has other entrepreneurs, fitness gurus. I mean, it's interesting. So again, if you're looking for some inspiration or how people have set it up, it's really easy to do. I'd recommend taking a look at Adam's. My buddy Jennifer Duplessis, I've also had her on my show. I will be speaking in Virginia tomorrow, very similar format because my daughter's first birthday, by the way, is on Sunday, so I'm not able to travel to this one. But I will be giving a similar presentation to, I think it's 385 lenders. tomorrow on video and applications, but this is her deal. Jennifer Duplessis has one of the largest lender podcasts in the United States. She has leveraged her business of 33 years as a lender. She's now a national, or I should say international speaker, best-selling author. Her podcast goes through the roof, and she's a coach now. But the point is that you can leverage your brand and really, really make huge exposure onto that. Funny story, I was in Arizona, and it wasn't through my particular presence, but I posted up, hey, I'm traveling, I'm doing a speaking engagement in Arizona. It was actually for Stuart Title. I posted that on Instagram when I was in DIA. I get off the plane, I'm on the phone with my wife, and I really had to go to the bathroom. Maybe too much information, but I really had to go. I passed the first restroom that was there, and I wrapped around the corner because I was on the phone with my wife. And then as I walk around the corner to the other bathroom, there's this guy, looking at me. I'm like, that's weird. He's like checking out my suit or something. And I'm still on the phone with my wife, and he says, hey, you're Greg Fowler, right? And I said, yeah. And as I'm walking into the bathroom, so it's really awkward, and I'm in a place that I don't live, right? And he said, yeah, I just saw your post that you're flying out here. I heard your podcast on Jennifer Duplessis, and I thought it was fantastic. So he didn't know really who I was directly before Jennifer had me on her podcast. So leveraging with other professionals and influencers, I cannot stress enough, is really going to expand your brand. You don't have to go national or international. Local influencers from all different walks, right? Use your imagination. There's so many ways I'm going to dive deeper into that. But check her example out. I think it's really good. A lot of people know this gentleman here. When it comes to Ryan, using certain levels of celebrity on $1 Million Listing. I've hung out with several of these professionals. There's a lot of hype around it. I don't want to sugarcoat what it comes down to it. When you're on HGTV, when you're on Bravo, there's a level of exposure that you receive. Now, that exposure is great as long as you do something with it. So when I bring that down to micro markets and I say, you want to be a local celebrity, you want to be that local expert, right? That's what you're looking for. You don't need national or international recognition. You just need to be that expert, right? So when it comes down to this example, I would always say to everybody, really try to look and see how these people are leveraging their brand, how big or small it is, and look what they're posting, look what engagement they get and they have. And I'm telling you, it doesn't take a lot to get to these particular levels. You've got to do the right things. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already being done in your industry. Some people might know Sue Pinky Benson. She's awesome, out of Florida. She is super charismatic, all over the place. And again, if that's not your personality, that's not your personality. Be true to who you are. But you just want to amplify who you are. The best practices and processes who you are so that more people can have access to your brand, your message. She's a great example out of Florida as well. I have so many different examples that I'm not able to touch on to today because I have my 5-minute warning. Thank you so much. So last but not least, equipment. So people go into equipment, and I'm gonna go through this really quick, so feel free to take screenshots or just send an email out, and I'd be more than happy to send you a list of equipment. You can use your cell phone. It's totally fine if you're doing video, and I think that's great. Start that way, get your revenue, and then start adding different equipment. I use Mevo. It's the best live stream camera. It's literally this big. It's super portable, super small, 4K footage, ultra wide lens. If you watch my show, this is what I shoot my show with. It's absolutely fantastic. You can take it on the go. It live streams, so you can do, if somebody's in Florida and they're relocating, anybody's PCSing, anything like that, you can literally do a walkthrough with it. There's all kinds of utilizations. You can do a live open house where you have this camera set up. You do a live Q&A with your lender. Hey, everybody, for first-time home buyers, I'm going to be at this open house on Saturday from 1 to 3. Jump on live Facebook if you don't want to stop by and ask any questions to this #1 lender that I have. Partnerships, right? Think about that. This camera is under $500, so it's not ultra expensive, and I'd highly recommend it if you want to step your game up. This is all you really need. You don't need any additional because it has 4K footage, micro SD recording down the bottom, live streaming, and it has a stereo sound in there. So I like this, and this is what I use twice a week, if not more. If you want to step your audio game up, these lavalier mics, these are the ones that I like, and I've burned through tons of these over the years, and I think they're great. They're $50, or under that, they're 41 now. Amazon should be your friend. Don't pay full price. Amazon should be everything where you go. Even if you're just starting some quick video tutorials or things or walkthroughs, buy one of these, plug it into your smartphone, whether it's an Android or iOS. It'll dramatically increase your quality of sound, right? Instead of just going off of this and being really close, you can have some distance. There's some good distance on these. The battery life is fantastic. I've used these on stage. I've recommended these to so many professionals across the United States, and they absolutely love it. If you just want to step it up a notch, you know, $41 is not going to kill anybody, but it'll really make a difference. And then last but not least is lighting. These are the light kits that I use when I'm on the road. You know, I think they're fantastic. They're LED, they don't get hot. There's two, 600 LED panels. They go amber and white, so you can mimic indoor and outdoor lighting. I like these in particular because you get the travel case, you get the 2 stands, and you get that for $300. So if you're doing interviews, if you have your home office or studio and you want to really take it up and have the quality of picture and sound, you need good lighting. I don't care what webcam you have. No webcam is going to be complete without a good light source and good audio. So just think about those little details when you're coming into video. I think that's crucially important just to kind of go through. So let me get out of here and then finish up. So this is something that I leave everybody with, and I think this is really important. I want to challenge everybody that's sitting in this room because I know I threw a lot at you and I really held back a lot of information too. So when it comes down to it, pick or choose 1 or 2 things, leverage the relationships you have, and start taking action, because that's the hardest part of all of it. You sit in these meetings, you sit in these particular deals, you're going to have an amazing panel coming up here with actual local experts that are utilizing some of this technology to grow and scale in your area. They're right there in front of you. Carissa and Christina, they're there, they can help you, but you really have to look at it and take those first steps. No one's going to force you, no one's going to push you. You got to feel that leverage to really grow your business. One of my favorite Gandhi quotes, your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny. So this is what I'm going to leave everybody with and challenge you with.
The fruit of everything good in life begins with a challenge. Everything is uphill that's good in life. And it's not going to come to you, and it's not going to fall in your lap, and it's not going to be something that, oh my God, it just was so simple. It's always going to be difficult. If you want it, you gotta go get it. This is your chance. This is your shot. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your place. This is your opportunity. This is my time. This is my moment. Tomorrow. Ain't no such thing as tomorrow. We only got today. It's your dream. If you want it to happen, get your butt up and make it happen. If you want it to happen, rise and grind.
All right, everybody, thanks so much for your time and attention. I really appreciate the love and support. Hopefully you got something out of this. And again, feel free to reach out to me, Carissa, or Christina. And yeah, thanks again so much.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Greg. We really appreciate it. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm inspired all over again.